to the bonus level.
Hello again, and welcome back to the Bonus Level Podcast. This is Level 22. I am Jack, one of your hosts, and joined with me, as usual, is Luch and Josh. And this week we have a very special topic. We're going to be talking about all sorts of different things, but more importantly, community, the sense of community, and then on the opposite side, humanity and humanity's overall lack of purpose and what that means and how we can view that and what that might mean for our future and how we ourselves can maybe change our attitudes. And because we're dealing with this topic and because we have this in-depth discussion going on, we have a very special guest. In town is Jacob Brown, Josh's brother, who is here, and we're pulling him in because he's the resident expert, right? So Jake, why don't you say hello?
Sup?
You know what? That intro sounds so familiar. It's almost like there's a resemblance to one of our permanent members.
Yeah, about. No clue.
Yeah, you have no clue. You guys aren't related. So anyway, Jake is Josh's brother in town, a very special guest. So again, thank you for being here. Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
And you, like I said, the resident expert. So why don't you go ahead and kind of introduce the topic, what we're going to be talking about, and then we'll kind of just jump off of you.
Yeah, so I've been trying to get Josh to read anything.
Read in general, right?
Yeah, he doesn't read. And I read a really good book recently called Tribe by Sebastian Junger. And it's all about homecoming and belonging and sort of how tribe societies, and at least societies that have to depend on each other in the community, don't have a lot of the same problems that we do. So depression, PTSD, all these other things that are like a huge issue nowadays, they just don't exist. And so yeah, the book goes into how our lives need a little bit more stress, how our lives need some sense of community, some sense of self-worth. And in our society today, we care about getting things and getting money and not so much having to count on each other. And that's a really, really important, valuable thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you gave a very good synopsis of what we want to tackle, and because of that, I think that wraps it up. So thanks very much for being here. No, no, but in all seriousness, I think that that the topic is one that's so very important, but something that it's almost we want to not look at or not deal with because it really addresses like fundamental flaws of society and in ourselves, right? I mean, even the whole thing like, well, we want to get things, we want material things. It's it's like looking in a mirror, because if you look at it too hard, you're like, wow, I feel guilty, right? Because that's what we do. That's what we chase. And so I think that, a couple of weeks ago, I think, Josh, you brought up just the idea of community itself. So not so much this, not a lack of purpose, for example, like not, humanity's just overall lack of purpose, and then the dealing with tragedy and all of that, because we'll get into that. But overall, just the community feeling, like what it felt like to, for instance, 8 years ago, whenever we were all doing YouTube and we had this like common purpose of, we were uploading videos and getting gameplay and getting content and making, cool stuff and being really creative. And it felt like this little family, right?
Oh, and I mean, it was incredible. We had so many different people involved with it. It almost became complicated trying to schedule who was going to play with who, and do what together. So, I mean, we almost had to like break down into our own little groups to be able to kind of coordinate things. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the reason that I wanted Jake to come on here and talk about this was I had heard Sebastian on Rogan's podcast talking about everything. And one of the things that really interested me was, so he was a war journalist. He goes over to the Middle East and he's there ground zero with them. Like, I think they get trapped down in like this small little town taking fire for correct me, what was it, a month or?
Yeah, long time.
A long time that they're literally 20 or so guys all trapped down together for a month in this tiny little town, not being able to do anything. And once he gets back home, his life is just, he can't seem to put the pieces together. Like his marriage starts falling apart. He's going through depression. He's just like, it's so weird going to Walmart and buying cereal and Pop-Tarts when I literally just went through this crazy experience, with all these guys that, like, I had to stop being a journalist because they needed me. They needed me to help out with different things around there. Like, of course, he wrote about his experience there, but he had to participate in things a lot more than I think what he originally planned.
Sure.
And so I think that's a lot of what, he talks about in this book, is just the fact that society as a whole, our mission is to build and improve on what we currently have. And that generally means expanding and growing. And what he's saying is a lot of what's happening to us in society and mental health with a lot of people is because of this growth in we're not meant to be able to deal with something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Things used to be, just looking back 20, 30, 40 years, used to be a lot smaller towns. People were much more intertwined. Think of the neighborhood that you guys grew up on. Like, what kind of neighborhood what was your neighborhood experience like as a kid?
I was privileged.
You were
not like that. I'm talking about, like, did you know your neighbors?
No. I knew one of them.
But did you live on a residential street with like houses in a row?
So for like the first one, I lived on like the 90s like cul-de-sac, like the boys in the hood. Yeah. And then like, we would be riding our bikes around and stuff. And then like the second one was another cul-de-sac, which wasn't as cool as the first cul-de-sac. But then you come to think of it, I've just been living on cul-de-sacs. But
yeah.
Okay.
And any of those points, did you know your neighbors? Did your parents know your neighbors and that kind of thing?
Only like one each time we moved. We never liked to, branch out too much into the neighbors,
Okay.
We didn't bring casserole to everyone is what I'm pretty much saying.
I grew up like kind of on, not in the country, but like my parents' house was next to like one neighbor, and they were an older couple and didn't have kids. So like, the only friends that I like grew up with, hanging out with and playing with were like the other family had two boys in like our church group. So like I grew up with those two.
Yeah.
And that was really it.
And here they are on the show. Josh and Jake, welcome, guys.
Right? Well, see, like, so for Jake and I, we grew up in a neighborhood of, 12, 15 houses. I can probably still to this day name 90% of the neighbors, like the parents and the kids. Because we lived there from the time I was 3 years old till when I was 15. So about 12 years. And, all those younger years where you spend every minute of your time outside playing with neighbor kids and stuff like that. And now, I mainly was asking that to kind of get to where things are now, where I feel like we know hardly anybody. You ask anyone, do you know your neighbors? And they don't know the people that even live next door to them.
Yeah. My neighbors have chickens and roosters in their backyard and stray cats that drag chicken bones and
wait, do you really have
into my yard?
Chickens in the backyard?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Turkeys. And they slaughtered one of the turkeys for Thanksgiving too.
Did you ask?
I literally have
sounds pretty good.
They have a roost back there, and and the cats drag bones into the backyard and are just general menaces.
But I feel like that's kind of like a cool morning though, go out and have like a sip of coffee and then you just hear.
No, 7:00 every morning when the sun comes up, you hear. It's like living on a farm. Anyways.
Yeah. So I guess my question that I'm proposing from this is, you're seeing the way that society is growing to bigger. You look at cities now with skyscrapers of people just stacked on top of people, on top of people, on top of people, that they're all in the same building and none of them have any idea who the other one is. Like, do you see this growing to be a problem?
Well, I think one thing that's interesting is when you're talking about big cities is big cities are notorious for being the most lonely places. Like year after year, they get like New York City's like super lonely. It's like how when there's that many million people in the same city, like, you know, everybody's in walking distance of you. How are you lonely? And I think it's because it's so easy to be self-sufficient. Like legitimately, I can go a week in my city without seeing somebody if I really didn't want to, because I can just stay home. I can order in food. I can, you know, have all the entertainment I want online. I can, you know, do laundry. I can clean. I can read. I can watch movies. There's so much stuff to do without ever interacting. That's weird.
It's amazing.
Well, not only that is it's not only can we go that long, but like we're encouraged to go that long by all of the information, the technology that we have at our fingertips. Like we can do all of those things, and we're encouraged. Get a discount if you shop online. Use this coupon code if you go here and order from this place. Like all of these things are all pushing society to the point where like, it feels lonely even in New York City, even when you're outside, because you walk down the street, nobody smiles at you, nobody says hello. You go get on the subway with thousands of people, hundreds in the same car, and nobody says a word to each other.
Yeah.
Everybody's just eyes forward, eyes straight ahead. The guy is like, passing out next to you on the subway, and you don't even like look and see like, oh, can I help you? Like there's no camaraderie. There's no
Actually, hold on. There is actually a universal sign that everybody does. So whenever you walk by a person, you give them that half smile and then you nod.
Yeah.
That hey.
That only happens if it's just the two of you in a hallway or on the street, and you have to brush past each other.
Or you accidentally make eye contact.
Yeah.
Well, have you guys
Otherwise, if it's a busy street, no way. Nobody's looking at each other.
You guys ever walk down the sidewalk and you're like, oh my God, there's a person heading straight for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, am I going to move this way? And then like, you're like looking up at each other and it's like, oh, and then you just pull up and like, hi.
I'm a looker though. Like I look at them to see if they're going to look back, because like I want to make eye contact.
He's just staring directly at them.
Yeah, and then they cross the street and go on the other side.
Right. As you put the knife away.
Oh man. But no, I think that, and even your reference to about like, that author being a war journalist and being over there and not being able to function in society, it's almost like that the superhero complex, right? Like they had the whole thing in after, I think it was after the second Avengers, whenever Iron Man 3 came out.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I'm comparing real life to superheroes because, I mean, why not?
Yeah.
But there's the whole thing of like, once you experience this like life outside of your normal routine, right? Like a disaster or something really traumatic, and you come through it, how do you go back to living everyday life? Like, or even like in Lord of the Rings, you had all these hobbits, and they're just living their normal lives, and they're drinking and eating, and they're just merry and they're fine. And then they go on this grand adventure and they save the world, and there's dragons and elves and all of this magic. And then they come home and they're like, wow, what?
Life sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, it was scary. Yeah, it was perilous. Yeah, they almost died. But like, you get that taste of purpose, and then you can't feel it anymore. After the Avengers, they said the same thing. The Iron Man, Tony Stark was in outer space, saved the world. He almost died. And then it's like, how do you come back from that?
Yeah. And I think those are even, I mean, of course, extreme examples. So let's take it down to even just the kind of bare minimum. A lot of the examples that he uses in the book is talking about like Indian tribes, with just where you have a small group of people that are each depending on somebody to live. They have your hunter, your gatherers. Each person has a task that they have to do. If they don't do that, then the whole society, hurts without that. They need you. Like, you are a big part of making sure that little community continues on. And so if you're not there, they feel it. And like, here, I think that's, you hear people say that all the time. Like, I just disappear and no one would know. Like, no one would know, no one would care. Like, that's got to leave a giant hole inside you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's the way that society pushes. I mean, because you don't want to rely on somebody for your own survival. You don't want to lean on somebody. You hire two people for that job. If one doesn't make it or one doesn't perform, you have the backup. Well, what if that one doesn't? Well, then you hire another one. Like, because there's always that. Oh, well, we have contingencies. We can't rely on one single person or XYZ. It can't be a thing.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense that it's like, you shouldn't always depend on one person to, for whatever you need. But at the same time, if you can't really depend on anybody, who's depending on you? And I think that's where the big problem is just looking for that, like what can we do to kind of give people that sense of purpose, that they are a part of the community, that they are helping out.
Well, one thing that you were saying is that you didn't see how we can get to that, right? And I think there's been multiple times in American history that we have gotten to that. I mean, you look at 9/11 and you look at New York City, and depression dropped dramatically, suicides dropped, people getting antidepressants almost like went way down. It's like, why after so many people died, after such a tragedy, do we don't have these same sort of issues? We're seeing similar things with some of the landslides and stuff happen, or the wildfires happening in California. We saw it in New Orleans when they had the hurricane came through. And why in the world are we acting more civil? Are we being nicer to our neighbors? That heroes are coming out doing amazing things. Like, why do we have to have like some sort of crazy wake up call like that to actually get us to work together?
Are you asking the question, or are you saying it?
Well, I mean, if you have an answer to it, I'd love to hear it.
Oh, well, see, that's the thing, is that I think that's there is no easy answer to it, but the biggest thing is that it's that hero, like I said, that hero complex of, like, if there's an opportunity to do something good that makes you feel like you have purpose, you're going to gravitate towards that for the most part. Most people in those situations, it ultimately depends on their character, really, but you want to band together to help the ones in need, if it's a disaster. But the thing is, that same person will go past a homeless person, the week before, and not help them, or see somebody in trouble and not help them. It has to be like I don't want to say like a life-threatening kind of situation, but almost. It has to be disaster.
But I'm not even talking about like heroes. I mean, you look at, I guess, the air raids that happened over London, and it's super famous how they built all these asylums outside of London because they thought people were going to be freaking out. Nobody even used them. They thought that, because there was, they had to do rations on food, and, people had to get soup kitchen lines and all this stuff, that they would have to have extra police. No, everybody policed themselves. People have never been so organized and make up their own lines, and just people acting like actual humans with compassion for each other. Like, it was crazy.
Right.
So I think it's more, like we said many times, that people just have like more of a purpose. Like, what I'm doing is actually helping somebody. And that's something that I know I've struggled in every single one of my jobs, to actually see that what I was doing was valuable, or what I was doing was making the world a better place.
Right.
So I don't know. So I'm kind of daydreaming while my brother's talking, like I normally do. Trying to think of something better to say. But
is that how it was growing up?
Maybe. But just, so, because I guess we're talking about a lot of things on a very big scale.
Right.
We started talking about things on a small scale, then started talking about on a big scale. But I think, with a lot of this, we can kind of go back to starting small and building up from there. Like what you were talking about, some of the strongest communities and friends and stuff that I know that I've had, and probably you guys have experienced with, have been on sports teams, with the YouTube community and stuff when we were doing that, or gaming community. There's a real big connection with a lot of people. I'd say the one that I had through soccer, the highs and lows were bigger, because being face to face with people, there were people that I got along with good, and there were other ones that I didn't like too much. While we were on the soccer field, we were all brothers and we all banded together. But off of it, there were some that I really liked and I consider friends still to this day. And there are others that I could care less if I ever talk to again. But, with the YouTube community, or even, what it's kind of grown into with Twitch and stuff like that, we're starting to build some of these relationships, but they're still, I feel like, a little bit lacking, just because there's a lot of people that I haven't seen their face. That kind of thing, that, we need to work on the relationships at a ground level, if that makes sense.
And it does. And I agree with you, I think, but I am also going to play devil's advocate and say that, like, I think that people aren't as forgiving or as compassionate as you might think. I think that even in times of disaster and times of hardship, I think that you will see a lot more selfishness than you will see humanity. Like, you'll see compassion.
I see you say that, but the data does not agree with that whatsoever. Like, every single national disaster, the only times that there's something different is when there is, like, for example, in Africa, right? When there's like a warlord involved and he's threatening to kill people's family. When there's that sort of side part where there may be different motives, then yes, there's other stuff going on. But if you even look at Katrina, and the news was reporting crazy looting and all this other stuff, and it came out that it was like, no, these are people trying to get food. People weren't stealing radios. People were going for bread. So I feel like the media, is always fear mongering and things like that.
That's true.
But
not false.
But it's not really that way.
Well, that's the thing is, I mean, I feel like you can go both ways with that. Just to continue playing devil's advocate, I mean, you can say, or like, oh, well, data says this, but just in the times, like, for instance, so Irma happened last year in the Florida area, right? It came straight up through. And the week before, I saw firsthand, trying to get water, trying to get food, trying to get gas. The week before it happened. People are ruthless. People are selfish. They're angry. They are, in a lot of cases, just downright, like, it's them and nobody else. That's it.
Yeah. And I think that that's ultimately why we're bringing this up now is, I don't feel like it would, like, if you and I were fighting over the last piece or loaf of bread or whatever in a grocery store, that would be one of the longest fights in history, because we'd be like, no, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it. Like, I know you got kids, you take it. Like, that would be the fight that we were having. We wouldn't be punching each other going, no, it's mine. It's because you and I know each other and care about each other. And these people who are shopping at the same grocery store don't know the same people that are in the store with them, because we've grown so big and far apart as a society. And that's the thing. It's not their fault per se. I mean, you live in a county that, I don't know how many people you have in your county, but I know in Gwinnett County where I live, I think there's like 300,000, 900.
I live in the sixth most populated or densely populated county in the country.
Yeah. It's absolutely crazy.
Wait, when you lived on the farm type area?
No, here now.
Oh,
yeah,
Pinellas
where
County.
we live, it's 920,000 people live in our county.
There's 1.5 million people that live in my city.
Yeah. So for that, it's like, there's no way that we can know that many people. At most, I can know like 15. And then after that, I don't know your name.
But I don't think it has as much to do with how many people. I think it has to do with how we deal with each other. And so one thing the book brings up that's really interesting is, so he talks a lot about PTSD because a lot of his experiences with soldiers. And there was always a theory with the Vietnam War, because this is where we really first started seeing PTSD, because in World War I and World War II, there really wasn't that sense. And so people thought, well, soldiers are coming back, and there were so many people that were against the war that, people just didn't feel loved and accepted. Well, okay, that was a good theory back then. But we see now, even with, so many more people being supportive of the troops coming back from Afghanistan and other places in the Middle East, that why is PTSD even rising even more? So just in the past, 50 years, it's been a huge thing. And there's been plenty of societies in the past that didn't have these same sort of problems. So Luch, you've been kind of quiet, so I have a question.
Go for it.
Yeah. So what would you say is, I guess, the most valuable thing that somebody needs besides like food and water, like mentally or spiritually? What does somebody actually need to survive?
Something to do.
Something to do?
Yeah. Something to do. They need to keep their mind occupied. You always see the isolation cells and isolation, I feel like, keeps a person, can make a person insane, but being by yourself, I don't feel like, depending on the type of person, can make someone insane. But I feel like most people, as long as they got something to do, then, you're fine. I mean, if you look at the movie I Am Legend, he was on the brink of insanity a little bit, though, but he had to do something every single day to keep his mind occupied and survive.
And he was still crazy.
Yeah, and he was still crazy. Still crazy. Yeah.
Same with Castaway, right? Or those mountain men.
My man was talking to a volleyball.
But for instance, I mean, like, if
that was a thing to do.
If you guys had access to, all the video games and you didn't have a problem with food, water, and you're still able to watch all the TV shows that you can, I mean, do you guys feel like you'd be able to get by without human interaction for, let's say, a month?
I would go crazy.
No, absolutely not.
But at the same time, I think most people, their initial reaction would be like, well, hell yeah. Like, if I had all my food, my water, everything taken care of, whatever I needed, and I could just freaking game all day.
But you can't game with your friends, though, because that's human interaction. So you'd just be playing single-player games.
Even throw in that I could play with friends and stuff.
No, you can't. That's human interaction.
But I'm saying, like, even doing that,
for 400
I
hours.
think would eventually get to a point where it would be very void. I think that, we would initially think of it going like, yeah, I could do something like that. I'm playing with friends, and, a lot of people right now, it's like, hey, you don't have to go to school anymore. You can stay in your room and play video games all day, every day. Eventually, that would start just wearing on you.
Well, I think
that's anything though, right?
One thing that I recently watched a documentary on, it was these scientists trying to create a utopia for rats, right? And
sounds awesome.
Yeah,
I want to be a part of it.
Yeah, gave the rats plenty of room, all the food they could need, water. They didn't have any predators, plenty of room to spread out and grow, and
to be rats.
To be rats. And so they found that and they did like 20 or 30 studies of this, that at first everything was wonderful. They would populate like insanely fast. They were all getting fat and happy. But then like after 6 weeks, they would just start killing each other. They were like different rats staying off to the side. They were going crazy. And this happened time and time again. And I just don't think that, I mean, I know we're not rats, but we're just not made to have utopia. We're not made to have a life of no stress, of no worry, of no problems. And we need some sort of dissonance. And if we don't, then we end up making it up in our heads. And I think that's where a lot of these problems that we're having.
The best part of that analogy, and you even saying it like that, is so we like a couple weeks ago we had the artificial intelligence and the reality bend level, and we talked about the Matrix and everything like that. That's like one of the biggest things that they go over in the Matrix.
Not a simulation.
That they tried to recreate humanity over and over and over again, and they just could not get it right until they realized that every time they were just making everybody happy, and it just wasn't working, and it wasn't working, and it wasn't working. And it actually wasn't until they reintroduced sadness and disasters and bad things that happened that like humanity actually was started thriving again, because humans don't know what to do if there's not any challenges, if there's not any purpose or any threat.
Maybe it's not necessarily what to do. Maybe it's more along the lines of if we thrive on dystopia type of thing. So like if there isn't something out there to keep us, banded together, like for instance, what I was thinking is like, there's aliens are discovered, right? We're part of a super large intergalactic, federation of multi-alien races. So like when we realize that we're, one smaller part of something a lot larger, like, do you feel like people would start recognizing, each other as like, oh, well, you're not black, white, Hispanic, we're just the human race. And then like, do you feel that maybe because we're human and because, we love our war and, we love all those kinds of things, if we don't have those things, then we can't thrive as a society? That bands us together pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I think that since the dawn of time, humans have tried to divide and conquer, and there is no such thing as peacetime. It doesn't happen. Even in times of peace, there's people within that are trying to make war.
I think even if we had a utopian, I still feel like there would be crime though. Like I still don't feel like you could cure the
human nature is to be selfish and to do the wrong thing. It actually takes work to choose the right thing.
I'm arguing that I think human nature is not that way. I think our society has made us think that human nature is that way. I mean,
have you heard of vegans?
I think that it's, I think that you go down to like studies of children and whether or not they will lie without question or without influence, or whether they'll choose to cheat on a test if they think they're not being watched, or just the choices given to humans without influence. They'll always choose the one that is for personal gain. Yeah,
we love sin.
Yeah, so whether it's a something that's super evil or something that's just like mildly bad, if it means something better for them, they'll choose it even if it's wrong.
Well, then now we have to get into the conversation of what is good and what is bad and what is right and what is wrong.
Sure.
And I'm much more of the belief that intent is a much stronger indicator than, because I mean, like, okay, yes, maybe a kid is cheating on a test and you would say that's a wrong thing to do, or maybe you say stealing is bad. Well, what if he's stealing food to feed his family? It's just like, wait, what's right?
I don't think that those extenuating circumstances play into a study of whether or not, a person is going to inherently choose, bad over good. I mean, and ultimately it does depend on the person. It does depend on their surroundings. It depends on their influences and all of those things. Like for instance, I'm driving down the road. I know that, I'm supposed to use my turn signal because I was taught how to drive correctly. And I lived in a state where if you didn't use your turn signal, you get pulled over. Now I'm here and I see 99% of the population doesn't use a turn signal when they change lanes. So, does that come down to a thing of like, well, they weren't taught right, so they don't do it? You know what I mean? Because it's still illegal.
I don't think it's a thing of being taught right. I think people don't realize the impact that we have on other people. I mean, a great example is, I think it's easy for us to see, and I know how passionate you've been about littering, is you don't understand that when you litter, you're making this place more disgusting for everybody. Yourself, you're making it's more disgusting for you. It's really obvious with like tax fraud and things like that. Like all you're doing is making the insurance places charge you more money because they have to cover for other people that they know are going to steal from them. if you look at any tribe society and, you realize that somebody's stealing from you, you take care of them. And that effect. You see that effect that, oh crap, we don't have enough food for everyone. Like, we see the accountability of what we're doing. And I think that's a really powerful thing.
Yeah, but that's kind of like where the world will be going to. I mean, eventually, like, wars won't be fought over, politics and religion. It will be fought over resources. Like, again, like, it's the same thing as that dystopian, like, oh crap, we're out of oil. Hey, that country has oil. Let's go take their oil. Boom. And there you go. Like, and you said, like, that kid before who was stealing food for his family, even though he's doing it, for, the goodness of his family, he's still feeding into that dystopian society of stealing. Like, it's like, there's never going to be a utopia. There will never be a utopia because everybody sins and everybody does what they feel is the best in their interest or their loved one's interest, even though it might hurt someone else. It's just,
Jake, let me ask you this. Are you so overseas, right? Do you see a difference in societal community, like bonding together, people having more of like a tribe feel, even though there's so many people? Or do you still see that same disconnect that you would see in like New York City, for example?
So I would say Korea, I definitely feel much more isolated. People it's actually, Korea's even harder to meet people. Like, if you're not a friend of a friend, they don't want to know you. However, I spent 2 weeks down in the Amazon, with the tribes down there, and totally different experience. Like, everybody knows everybody. Everybody's in everybody's business. Like, everybody knew, because apparently there was like a herd of wild boar that were going through, and everybody that we ran into was talking about it. And they were all talking about how they were going to get it and how they were going to help each other. And like, they just totally got it. This past year I went to the Philippines, and I went to one of the small islands there, and I rented a moped. I was driving around. It was torrential rain, just horrible, up to my knees, and I was sliding around on the mud roads. Random people just came by. They were like, "Oh, don't worry about it. I got you. I'll get you out of that hole," because I had fallen off or whatever. They gave me a beer. I was hanging out with them, talking with them. I've never met these people. I've never had an experience like that in my life where people were so willing to just like, yeah, you're one of us.
I think that was, a big thing about it. What I was taking away from what you were saying, Jack, was when you're talking about, when they were putting the kids to the test or whatever, that every time they would choose the thing that would, how did you put it, best serve their interest?
Yes.
And I think that that's the case until you build a relationship with someone that their interest and your interest go hand in hand. Like, when I gave the example of you and I fighting over a piece of, or the loaf of bread, like, at that point, you and I have built such a connection between us that there's no way that we would fight over that. It's the same way with anyone in my family, any of my friends, Kayla that we had on last week, Luch, or anybody.
Right. But that's exactly my point, though, is that, like, yeah, of course I'm going to treat you like that. Mm-hmm. But what's the difference between you walking into the store and me walking to the store, and we need that last loaf of bread, and say we don't know each other at all? Yeah. And I want it, and I know that, like, I need it for my family, and you need it for your family. You have kids. Like, I'm going to fight you for that because, like, I need it for my family. You know what I'm saying? But like, so there's that disconnect of like, I'm no longer treating you like a human being because I don't know you. We don't have a connection. We're not friends.
Well, and so that's what I'm delicious. Here at the Bonus Level Podcast, we fix big issues. That's why we do this, is to find the problems in the world and fix them in an hour and a half.
Yes. So all right, hold on.
What we need to do is figure out how we can fix this problem that is right here in front of our noses.
It's really easy.
Hopefully Elon Musk is listening to this.
You were going to say, Luch?
Yeah. So Jake, between you and me, right, just a quick 10-second intermission, right, off topic. If Jack and Josh were in that store together and they were fighting over this piece of bread, who would win that piece of bread?
Hold on. Sorry. Can you say one more time?
Who would win that piece of bread in a fight?
Between me and Josh?
Would it be your brother?
No, me.
Or would it be Jack?
Oh, Jack would win for sure.
Yeah.
Josh always loses. But Josh wouldn't fight for it though. Josh is too nice.
Oh no, I feel like Josh is. Oh yeah, Josh is pretty nice.
Even if he didn't know the person, he probably would.
It'd be that scene from Fight Club where he's just punching Tyler over and over again, and he's just bleeding all over him. He's like, "You don't know where I've been."
Oh my god! So like Jack, I was talking earlier. Like, does Josh get mad? Does he like ever get mad?
Yeah.
Like, because every time I see him remotely upset, he always has like a smile on his face, right? And like, I can never see Josh upset.
No, yeah, he gets mad.
It was rumored for a really long time that I gotten mad once, and I used to always joke with people.
We don't talk about it though.
Yeah,
we don't talk about it.
But I mean, I would joke with people that like I don't have the ability to get angry.
No, that's not true. All right, so Josh and I used to fight all the time, and Josh, he would have like his like emo wristbands with little stars on them and stuff. I used to have like scratches and stuff because we were like fist fight. Oh my gosh, I think our door is so bent out of shape from when we slammed it on each other.
What kind of fights do you guys do? Are you like picking up chairs and like smashing them on each other?
Basically,
WWE German suplex.
Yep. Yeah.
So funny. So it's interesting that you say that it's even worse in other countries, but and then even better in some. And it goes back, I guess, to the main point of what you brought up originally, is that this tribe feel where everybody depends on each other. It's almost like their innocence hasn't been lost, so they're so much more trusting and happy and willing to help each other and help people because they haven't been burned by people. They haven't been mistreated by people.
Well, just to help classify, because I don't know this either. So where you're at in Korea right now, that's considered first world, right? I mean, they're good enough 100%. In all aspects. But where you went in the Philippines and where you were at in Colombia, would that be first, second, third?
See, like, well, in the Amazon, that would be third world. But even when I was in like Medellin, like huge city, millions of people there, I still like, I mean, crime is, you got to be dangerous. You don't ever hold your phone up to take a picture because some kid's going to run by and steal it. But like at the same time, everybody's there to help you out. Like everybody has a handout. Everybody wants to talk to you, get to know you. Like that sort of thing is there and alive. And I feel like Colombia is still first world, at least where I was.
Yeah.
It's not the same level as here, but it was super, everything was super nice.
That makes sense.
But I know it's tough. It's crazy.
So my question is, and like bringing that back all the way around, is what do we do, right? Because like I know that we've had like the zombie apocalypse discussion several times. It's always brought up, and I'm a big proponent of like, if a zombie apocalypse happens, don't come to my door. Unless you know me, don't come to my door, or else there's, because I'm of the belief that in those times, I hear what you're saying. They're like, oh, statistics this, and people band together and help each other. I've seen firsthand the selfishness of people in times of need. I've seen people like be completely outlandishly just so selfish and hateful towards other people. Whenever the whole entire state of Florida is out of water right before a hurricane, and this, Walmart doesn't have up a sign saying you can only take 2 cases per person, and a woman with 2 carts full of cases of water, while other people are standing around and have none, and she could care less. You know what I mean? Like and it's just things like that I've seen that lead me to believe that in a time of great emergency, like a world-ending event, that it's going to be you and yours versus they and theirs.
Well, that's why we need an alien invasion. That's the key.
An alien invasion is the key?
Yeah. Like D-Day.
I think zombie apocalypse, the cleansing.
I don't know. It's weird. Like when you when you watch the movies like Independence Day or Mars Attacks or something where it's aliens versus humans, the humans tend to band together and we're all together in this fighting together as the human race. Where the zombies, it's not that. It's like, bitch, I don't know you. Like,
Yeah, but see, like that's where like the tribal thing that we've been talking about kind of goes for, right? So like, in zombie movies, they all make their little groups, they make their little tribes and they coexist in those tribes fairly well.
And then they fight each other.
And then
we have The Walking Dead.
Dun, dun,
dun.
Yeah, so I mean that's what I want to kind of, I don't know. I think that there's that whole planting a seed with a good deed and watching it spread to other people. Because I feel like a lot of these kind of things, we could work on as society as a whole, but then if we just look at our own individual self, how many times that we could probably go out of our way to do something nice, take that extra step to have a conversation. I mean, as awkward and as it sounds to do any of this stuff, these are the kind of things that I feel like, just taking that extra step to make someone feel special, that hopefully they pay it forward to someone else. And you never know where that's going to lead,
No, I agree.
As society as a whole.
No, I mean, I think that in general, like things like that are 100% true. I mean, it all starts with each individual, right? Like a society as a whole is made up of millions of us, millions of people. The only problem is that 70% of society is stupid.
Well, I think
that leaves the 30%.
It's a bigger thing with a lot of that is just miscommunication, like not being culturally aware of where you are or who you're talking to, because we're so, especially in the US, so diverse, talking to so many different people. Have you guys heard about like hot cultures and cold cultures?
I mean, well, I like to think I'm part of the hot culture. You know what I'm saying?
Are you talking about like receptive of like foreigners?
Yeah. So, well, no, not even foreigners. So, for example, like down in Florida or even here in Georgia, down here we're considered like a warm culture or hot culture. Like Colombia is a hot culture. It's basically any places that were really hit during the Industrial Revolution, where all these factories started coming in. And it has almost everything to do with verbiage and how, for example, if I have a friend who wants to ride in my car because we're going somewhere, but I already have, my car's full of people. What I would say is, I can try to squeeze you in, but I don't think we can actually fit you in here, right? Whereas somebody in a cold culture would be like, we don't have room. Now, we both said the same thing. However, one of them, my way took a little bit longer, and their way was more direct and
straight to the point.
Yeah, we both have the intention of, we want you to find a way to get there. It's not that we don't want to hang out with you, but we just can't see you. And the other person in the cold culture is more like, I'm giving you more time to find a thing by telling you quickly. And like, I think being culturally aware is a hugely important thing when you're talking about actually banding with somebody or talking with somebody.
Huh. Yeah, no, I that's super interesting because not thinking about it like that, I can definitely even moving from Pennsylvania to Florida, it is definitely just such a huge difference in culture, the way people talk to you, the way people talk at you, and just in general. But I think going all the way back to the ultimate question, how do we take individually, doing the right thing or choosing to be more cordial or more compassionate on a daily basis? How do we take that and turn that into like a wildfire thing, right? Like, how do we?
Yeah. So here's kind of my idea on things. Because I was kind of daydreaming while you were talking, trying to think of an awesome idea. And what I've been able to come up with is, so, we were talking about the fact of doing this. Like if I were to walk out of my house, walk down the street, bump into someone or whatever, I'd rather cut my own toes off than have to talk to this person. But I do have people that I connect with through other sources now that doesn't pain me too terribly bad. Like I like talking with you guys. I like our other guys in our D&D groups or our, the Twitch and, Twitter and all these different things that we've been able to build some connections with these people that, even starting in our own little community there, like, you've been working really hard lately at building up the stream and connecting with people and networking and, all this kind of stuff that's been really awesome. Mm-hmm. And I've seen the work that you put into it. And I'm sure that there are tons of other people that, within our small little circle that are trying to work on something like that as well, that doing what we can to help push them up and build them up would make them feel amazing. I'm sure that you could speak for that firsthand, that everybody, you could probably name all 50 people that followed you this week to help get you to the Twitch affiliate, that every single one of those 50 people played a part in helping you get to where you needed to be. And you will remember them for that. So us being that 50 to as many people as we can, in some weird metaphor way. If you guys understand what I'm saying, like we don't, doesn't necessarily have to be getting them to Twitch affiliate or anything like that, but just being that little person, that little, step to help them get to the next place that they want to be in where they're going, in our own little community of people that we already interact with on a daily or at least weekly basis could be a very good start to where we want to go. I think once you start kind of building these habits, that it will spill over into things. Like maybe you accidentally bump into somebody at Walmart or whatever, and you're like, oh, I said something nice to them. I didn't mean to. It was just out of habit because I've been such an awesome, cool person lately. So it's just building those habits in our own little group and hoping that it just turns into habits and starts spilling over into other aspects.
It's weird because I'm the complete opposite. I talk to everybody I see. I can tell you all about Matthew, who's from China. He was on my flight back here. He works for Texas Instrument. Like, I talk to everyone I see. I can't help it.
Calculator company?
Yeah.
I remember them.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe calculator.
So, but I think you're an exception to, like, you're not the normal. Like I was saying, like out of 100% of people, you might be in the 30% or maybe even a smaller percentage, right? Because society as a whole, everywhere you go, and unless we're talking about these, smaller countries and places that don't have the influence of the social media and the internet and all this other things that pushes us into smaller and smaller bubbles. I think that in general, society's just falling into this. It's a self-absorbed downward spiral because we don't have to care about anything else because we can be completely 100% self-sufficient, like you said at the very beginning. We don't need to rely on anybody. We don't.
One interesting thing that I did this year. So as a New Year's resolution, I decided for 1 month, not counting work, I was going to go without a computer. So no internet, no anything. The only time I would use internet was just I was talking to my brother or talking to my parents. But no video games, no anything like that for 1 month. And I talked to probably 1,000 more people than I would have talked. I mean, not 1,000, but like every night I would just go, instead of like just watching Netflix, I would go to the coffee shop, practice Korean, just start calling up people. Hey, you doing anything? Let's go do something. Like I was way more active in my community, and that was a really, really, really difficult thing to do, but it was also very eye-opening and powerful.
No, I can only imagine, for sure. It's like a feet in his fly trap. It's like it's quicksand. You are in it, and then you're just tied in it for work. You're tied in it with your social life. You're tied in with this, and then it's like, well, if I give it up, it's like there's that fear. Like, well, that means I have to do it.
It is. It's hard to give up. There's hard. there's so much awesome crap on Netflix and HBO and
but it's
Apex
not awesome. That's
League.
The thing.
You know, like there's all these things that at any given time. I mean, holy shit! The trailer for Game of Thrones came out today, and I'm sure you guys all saw it.
Did it?
And it's like, I can't wait for it to come out.
Oh my god!
You know, like we're already excited about something that's not even here yet. You know, that it's hard to imagine going, all right, we need to go backwards from this, because I don't know. I mean, could you see society and humanity getting to a more connected point on a parallel line with the way that technology is advancing? Or do you think that those two are going in completely opposite directions? And the more we get technologically advanced, the farther we're going to grow apart as a society.
No, absolutely. It goes back to like one of our first episodes and talking about, Elon Musk's like, are we, the AI, are we too far past the point? You know what I mean? Like, and it's going to take a major event to kind of reset society. And I think that if that happened, then you would see that tribal banding together, communities, smaller communities having to rely on each other. I think you will see that, but it almost has to come all the way full circle. I don't think that once we, we keep going up and up and up and up and up, I don't think we can then meter it back down. Right. I think it has to go up to the ceiling, break through, then collapse, start over.
Yeah. So what you're proposing is that should we, from now going forward, we need to change the bonus level podcast to more like, get ready for the apocalypse. Here's where we're going to meet.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Disaster preparation. Here's the thing though. Like I said, if it is a zombie apocalypse, you better get on the bonus level podcast fam now. Join the Discord, hang out and stream. You need to get on my good side, because
join the Jack back.
Come that time, you don't show up on my doorstep. And I say that obviously jokingly, but not really, because the thing is, and then this goes back to me thinking that, for the most part, people aren't good. You want to trust people. You want to give them the benefit of the doubt. You want to let them prove that in a time of need, they're going to do the right thing. The problem with that is, in an apocalyptic scenario, trusting somebody that doesn't turn out to be a good person means you don't live.
Oh, not only you, but you and 10 people.
Your family, your loved ones. Exactly.
So what you're saying is you're the lady with the 12 cartons of water.
No.
What?
No. Because that's I can see where you're saying that from, but in my opinion, in my point of view, I'm not going out to the store in a zombie apocalypse and going, if you come near any of this stuff, I'm going to kill you. It's all mine, and I'm going to take it back to my people because we're the most important. I'm saying, if you come into my bubble where I'm keeping my people safe, I'm going to A, ask you to leave, or B, make you leave.
Pretty much Jack is John Malkovich in Bird Box.
Yes. Yes.
That's it.
He was so good. He was fantastic.
That's pretty much it. If you guys want an imagination of what Jack will look like during the apocalypse, he's going to get a little coat on. He's going to shave his, face. He's going to be John Malkovich. He's going to sit there with a pump action shotgun.
I'm going to be drinking. I'm going to have a shotgun, and I'm going to be the only rational person there.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, that's pretty much what's going to happen. And then there's going to be, those one or two people, probably Josh, who's like, oh man, we need to let this guy in. He looks great. Bro, he is obviously a psychopath. Man, what are you doing? Just stop this. And, Jack's going crazy, right? He's like, get him out of here, And then
I'm going to end up locked up in the garage.
Yep. and then, the zombies are going to invade, and Jack's just going to sit there and be like,
told you.
I told you. But see, Jack's going to realize the mistake John Malkovich made and actually have a second hidden bunker inside the garage where he has everything.
Yeah, that's planning ahead. But no, I mean, in all honesty, like I don't trust people because I know their nature. And like I said, you might say, well, statistics prove XYZ in times of disaster. I would argue that those statistics are only showing the good things that people are choosing to do. And that's not saying that like people don't obviously choose to do good because they do every day, but you actively have to choose. If there's a guy on the side of the street and he's broke down, I have to choose to stop. I have to choose to do something good, to offer help, because the easy thing to do is to drive past.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. The best thing to do.
And the easiest thing to do in every situation is always the shortcut, is always the self-serving option. And the hard option is, what can I do for somebody else? How can I go out of my way to help somebody else?
Well, and I think the bad examples, or the bad people in these examples, affect so many more than the good examples. Like take hitchhikers, for example. All it takes is 2 or 3 hitchhikers to kill a couple of people that have picked them up, that now no one ever will pick up a hitchhiker. Even if like 0.001% of hitchhikers are serial killers, fuck that. That chance is way too high. I'm not going to do it. So now no hitchhikers get picked up.
I think
you can't hitchhike.
Smoking has a thing about that, where that's like the reason that we have seatbelts. That's the reason that we have that, is because of that 1% that just messes everything up for the rest of us.
Yeah.
To go as slow as our slowest person. But I think also we see what we want to see, in the sense of, if you want to look and see the world as you're going to always see these bad people, then you're always going to see them do bad things. The same way that if I say, man, every car I see is blue, and then for whatever reason, every car I see is blue. And I think you can do that with people too. I'm super optimistic. And so whenever I go into a situation, I always assume that my conversation is going to be a good conversation with that person. And I think that whenever I look at a situation, I try to find, all right, where was the good in that? And I'm not like actively trying to do that. It's just something in my nature. And I think that you are trying to find holes in that, or problems that. And I mean, obviously, there's good reasons to do that. I mean, everybody's been hurt. Everybody's been taken advantage of. And for the most part, we have to watch out for ourselves. But,
yeah, I mean, and I don't think so. I don't even think it's coming, for me, it's not even coming from a place of like, oh, I've been burned before, so I don't trust people. It's more of a realistic expectation. Like, I would rather be prepared for somebody to do something wrong than trust them to do the right thing and then them not, is how I look at it, as a more of like a logical, rational way to, like, I don't know you, so here's what I want you to do, or here's what I'm going to let you do, and we'll see if you do it. As in, not like, oh yeah, can you go take my kids for a walk for a second? I watch them while I go do that. Like, no, you know what I mean? I don't know you. I don't trust you until you prove that you can be trusted, that, that I don't have to worry about you murdering me whenever I close my eyes. Like, then, yeah. So it's not even so much of looking for the negatives in people. It's almost like
you're like that one quest giver in MMOs who like will make you do a bunch of these BS quests in order to gain access to the village to like trust them. Yo, please go collect those 10 sheepskin for me. Oh, you're a quality fellow. Come on in.
I don't think 10's enough, but I mean, whatever.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, it takes a long time to build people's trust, because it does. It takes one person, one shitty person, to really make you go, no, fuck you and fuck everybody else, until you're able to build this trust with me. And then trying to build that trust is like you said, it's a, go collect 100 of these things quest. It's a stepping stone, but it takes one person that could walk up without any of those things. They could screw everything up for the next person. They're like, no, you did 100 and now I still don't trust you. Go get 1,000.
But you're saying that. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
But that wasn't my experience when I was in the Philippines. Like, people I didn't know were just 100% had my back. I was a part of the tribe. I was there, so I was one of them. The same in the Amazon, like
that kind of thought gets you killed, though. Just saying.
I mean, maybe, but at the same time, like they also realize that it's super valuable for them to help each other out, to be that I'm going to need help at some point, and it'll be more valuable to me, if you want to think about it selfishly, that I give up to help you.
So, question, does it ever go through your mind that these people might harm you?
I mean, I've been in situations like that, but 9 times out of 10, no. I always
so you just go in there,
yeah,
and you're like, yeah. Oh man,
yeah, the scary thing for me is watching those movies where it's like, oh, you're buddy with somebody, you go to sleep and you wake up in a bathtub full of ice with your kidney gone, and it's like
personal experience.
That's what I'm. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, where is the line of like, oh, I'm just going to trust you and I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, to this situation is too precarious for me to trust a total stranger to do the right thing. You know what I mean? Like, where is that line? Because there has to be, for your own safety. Like, humans have the flight or flight. Like, that's, you know, in a time of need, we either stand up and fight for ourselves or we run. Like, that's one. It's one or the other, right? So where does the line get drawn in a situation or a scenario where you say, this is actually dangerous to me. I have the potential to be harmed, or my loved ones can be hurt. So I can't trust you to do the right thing. I can't just give you the benefit of the doubt here.
Yeah. So
where is that line?
Yeah. So like if you're dealing with if I were dealing with anyone in my neighborhood, you know, in the neighborhood that we have now, and this one's an actual big one, we probably have, I don't know, 75 to 100 houses in this neighborhood. That anyone here, my interactions with most people in my neighborhood are probably going to be more civil than ones with people outside my neighborhood, with just the fact of, if they did anything wrong, like we know where you live, you know,
there's accountability.
There's that accountability there, that they're going to be punished for there's going to be repercussions for what they do. Where if I were in downtown Atlanta, the city of Atlanta, and just bump into a random person that's like, hey, can you watch my kids for a second? Like, hell no. But if it's an emergency and it's someone in my neighborhood, I'd probably feel a little bit more okay with it, even if I hadn't met them much, just because we are in a community. We're in this neighborhood together. We share that, and that's all that we share. So it's like, what we need to be able to do is build up this community that we're all in, to the point where there's that accountability between us. Like Jake was talking about, like down in Colombia and stuff like that, that there was just different little cities and towns that he felt like that there was this camaraderie and stuff. And it's like, how cool would it be to have Tampa, you know, like the whole place of Tampa? It's like, you're from Tampa, and you probably see that, and Ahmad can probably attest to this on like Tampa Bay Buccaneer game day. Like, you're downtown Tampa wearing your Tampa Bay gear on game day. It's like, I don't know you, but you're my brother, and I'm going to take care of you today. You need a beer? You want to ride? What you want? Like, it's the same thing when you go like downtown Atlanta to a metal show. You know, I walk in there, I don't know these people for anything, but we're there to go see a concert, and we like the same bands. That it's like, I mean, I may not die for you, but I'll take a punch for you. You know, I'll buy you a beer. Like that kind of thing. That's what it would be cool to see kind of blossom and grow into something bigger.
Right. But I think again, like, my question still remains of like, where's the line of like somebody you don't know?
Mm-hmm.
Where does it get drawn where you treat them like your brother because there's some sort of camaraderie, and then is it like something like watching your kids? You know, like, where's the cutoff of giving them the benefit of the doubt of being a good person? Is it watching your kids? Is it giving them your car keys, saying "watch my car"? Like, you know, what is it? Mm-hmm. Hold my wallet. You know, what?
Well, Josh was saying, you know, I think he was sort of mentioning, like, the situation will change that. For example, if there's if there's a tragedy, if you're at the rock concert, like you have this different connection with people. Like when the towers are falling down, the people down below, everybody's grabbing kids and getting them to safety. Everybody's sort of, all those things kind of get thrown out the window. You instantly become a community at that point. You're instantly like helping everybody else out. And I think that
we are. I think that we look at it that way because we're going to choose the right thing 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that line is moving. That line is not, all right, it stops at.
You're saying it's not static. It's not a static line of like it is that. Well, and I agree. I was just trying to get more of like a gauge for individually, like, disasters happening, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can help that lady right there. But I have a kid with me, right? I have a little baby, and I turn to the guy next to me and go, can you watch my kid? I'm going to help this lady.
Oh my God.
Like, do I do that? Or do I look at this guy and I'm like, this guy's going to run off with my kid?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all going to depend on the situation. Like I said, if I were at, let's say it's the Tampa Bay Buck game, with that kind of thing, and it's a Tampa Bay fan there, we're there for the same reasons. We like the same team. He's showing that he has some pride in the city that we're from and everything, that you would almost have a little bit of a connection with him. I mean, of course, you would want to do your full, like, top to bottom eyeball pat down on the guy, virtually assess the situation, and kind of get an idea from there. But then, I mean, it's overall it's a judgment call, and at some points you have to. But
I'm asking you to take away the camaraderie. I'm talking about. We're talking about people that we just come across on the street, right? So like,
yeah,
here's a scenario. You're walking down the street for whatever reason. You're holding Kieran's hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got him by the hand. All of a sudden, somebody gets hit by a car right next to you on a bike, is pinned under the car. A bunch of people run over. They're trying to lift the car off the biker. And everybody on the sidewalk where you're standing is stunned.
Mm-hmm.
You instantly think like, oh my gosh, I have to help. That they need somebody else to help lift. So you turn to the guy next to you and go, I'm going to help watch my kid, right? And you run over and you help. You lift the car up off of the person. They pull the biker out. And then you turn around, guy's gone.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that, like, that's you didn't know him, right? So you chose to trust somebody, member of society, to help somebody else, to save a life, and it ends up hurting you, right? Because you had no idea that the person next to you was a pedophile or whatever. You know what I mean? It's an example. But my question is, in that situation, your head, your brain, do you think of yourself and Kieran and weigh that versus the person's life underneath the car?
Oh, I would definitely be bouncing it around back and forth in my head. I think overall, every situation is going to be a little bit different, and I'm going to have to weigh that. I mean, that's not going to be an easy decision to make unless it's just pure adrenaline pumping through my body and I just react without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
But overall, I think if given the choice to think about that situation, what am I going to do here or there, that we need as a society to be able to get to the place mentally where we could make that choice to go help that person.
100%.
Because overall, I think you have to have faith in humanity. If you're constantly like, fuck that person under the car because I don't know them and this guy beside me may be a pedophile, like, then you need to fucking move. Like, you need to go move to a new city, a new town, and find some people that you actually like.
Yeah, because that's the thing, is that we just heard that in Korea it's no different.
Well, I'm not saying move there, but
my point is that in general, first world countries that have been exposed to the technology, the social media, and all of the first world problems that we have are in general the same.
Yeah. But I mean, I would say like if we looked at all the random people on the street that pass by and stuff like that, yes, I would say a bunch of them are probably dumbasses. They don't know their head from their ass and stuff like that. But as far as saying how many of them are going to be serial killers or murderers or pedophiles or whatever is probably very, very low.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. It's like, you're an idiot. You think this, I probably fucking hate you, but I'm not going to let you die. Yeah. You know, that I think baby steps. You start at that point, you work towards the point that it's like, tell you what, I don't like anything about you, but you're my brother because of this. Whatever. You know, finding commonalities between people.
He was saying that to you, Luch.
Yes.
Damn. Oh. Feels bad. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think that 100% we need to do better. You need to be able to react in that situation with 100% faith that you're going to go save this person's life and that person is going to be standing there waiting.
Yeah.
For you. But unfortunately, the reality is if you're in desperate need and you run up to somebody and you go, I need to use your phone. Blah, 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 blah. How many of those people are going to be like, sure, here?
I don't know.
Yeah, I would give him my phone.
Of course you would.
What?
Of course you would. Yeah. But
then he says thanks and walks away.
It's okay. I'm pretty fast. That's all right. I don't know. Like, I know it's like super cheesy, but you know that saying, like, be the change you want to see in the world. Like, if we're really wanting to make a difference with this, like, we have to be the people that like are willing to make those sacrifices.
Yeah. Even if they get burned, like, I think that, like, us being, you know, the bonus level dudes, that we have a following of at least 6 or 7 people that are listening to us, looking up to us for guidance. For the we're advice. Telling them to fuck everybody.
No, absolutely not.
You know,
no, I'm siding with you and like what we should do. I'm saying that I look at things in a realistic way, right? So I'm coming at things from a more realistic and like rational way. But I feel like that. I feel like that you have to.
The real way. It's the real way. No. Your real way to you, I guess, but it's not. It's not my reality. I guess.
No, yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, no, 100%. I'm not pushing. I'm not trying to push my reality off on you. I'm merely explaining of like this is why I'm saying in this situation I would do X, Y, Z. I'm not saying that we should be like that. Right. Because I 100% agree that, you know, in that situation that I gave to you, you have to be able to trust people. You know, if you're in a desperate need, you need to be able to go to anybody, the closest person, and be like, I need your help. And then be like, what can I do?
Yeah.
And not just look at you like you're a crazy person and like, you know, turn their nose up. Right. So like we have to get to that place in order to do any sort of change. And unfortunately, like I said, I just always go back to like, okay, well, is that realistic? Is that actually going to happen? That's all.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I feel like society at this point that we're at now is like a balloon filling up with air, that there's just so much crap coming from all these different directions and stuff that, like what you're talking about, is just, it's going to break through the barrier and then it's going to collapse and then it's going to have to kind of rebuild from there. It's either like put the brakes on things, say halt, we need to kind of back up, because right now we're going forward at such an increasing fast speed that I don't
it's pretty ridiculous.
A lot of these changes being able to really take hold. I mean, they may be able to, little things here and there. I mean, unless, you know, we get some really good viral, you know, inspirational, nice, like be nice to your neighbor challenge, you know, or something like that hits people.
Do a good deed challenge.
Do a good
deed
challenge.
Did you just skip over all the Tide Pods and everything? I don't know, man. We're in a pretty good era of challenges right now. But like, I mean, like, but I know what you're saying about like, you know, how fast everything's going forward. I mean, Jack was born in the 50s and like,
look at me now.
Look at him now. Just how much everything has advanced so far. Like he went from using, like the telephone that you go.
Signing, I was using a rotary phone back in the day. I only had 8 numbers on it. Hello, is this one?
Now he's an LG representative. He's so spry for his age too.
Mm-hmm. Hello. Is this the bonus level podcast? Yeah. Yes. No, I would like to feel like let me just put it this way. I would like to be as optimistic as Jake.
I mean, Jake's got some serious optimism going on right there.
So what would you have to see to change your mind?
What would I have to see? And I think that that's up to me too, right? Like, so I have to be able to give a little to be proven like, okay, I can trust somebody. Okay, there is good people in the world. So it is on me as well. Like if I just stonewall, right? I know I always joke about the whole zombie apocalypse thing, right? And I'm like, you come to my door, you get a fist. But at the end of the day, like you have to, there has to be some sort of give in order for somebody to prove that they can be trusted. There is no like, well, yeah, I can't trust you. And they're like, well, let me show it to you. And you're like, no, because I don't trust you. You know what I mean?
I'm just wondering how the conversation between Jack and Jack would go. You both would close your doors. Yeah. No, you got to prove to me. No, you got to prove to me.
If there was a zombie apocalypse and I was out on the road and I came up to my compound, what would happen? I'd knock on the door. I'd be like, hello? Yeah. No. We need to get in. You can't come in. Yeah, but you can trust us. I can't trust you. I don't know you. Yeah, but I'm trustworthy. Yeah, but I don't know that.
I think like Jack, like, so I'm imagining like 2 Jacks just like standing outside, separated, a wall separating one another. One of them's got an eye patch for some reason, right? And so like, I'm just imagining like, they kind of approach the door real quick, looking at each other. And they're just like, mimicking each other's movements. And they're like, I don't know what it is about you, but I like you. It was like I was thinking the same thing, and then as soon as the door opens up, they just start stabbing each other.
No, I'd look at myself up and down and be like, I don't like you.
Yeah. Like, I don't trust this one.
I definitely don't like you. Okay, I was just thinking.
But that's why I trust you.
No, yeah, it's a good like self-reflection as far as that goes, because there is that, okay, well, I have my guard up because I don't think I could trust people, but at the end of the day, like building a community takes people. And if you don't trust anybody and you don't give anybody the opportunity to be trusted, then you die alone, right? So like
but that's what money's for. Building communities.
But
like no joke.
So on one hand, like you have to give a little. You have to be able to put your faith in people, to be able to trust somebody that they're going to work towards a common goal. Mm-hmm. And so I think that like I may my line of thinking of being like completely rational and closed off, in order to be like protective, is also a self-destructive thought pattern.
Yeah.
Because there's no compromise on my end. Just like I'm thinking, like looking at it from Jake's point of view, there's too much compromise.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that there has to be a give on both sides. I think you need to be more cautious, and I think I need to be more forgiving, or I don't know.
No, I understand. So I was thinking about, and I'd like to brainstorm with you guys, because I think it would be cool to do the bonus level challenge to do like one good deed or something. But then at the same time, nothing pisses me off more than watching someone record themselves doing a good deed and posting on social media. But it's like, go get fucked by a horse. Like,
you mean like the motorcycle videos?
I don't know.
The cyclists.
No, remember the ice bucket challenge?
The ice bucket challenge, that's fine. That's fine. That was a little silly something. But I'm talking about like someone videotaping themselves selfie style going like, look at me, I'm giving a sandwich to a homeless guy.
Okay,
aren't I nice? And it's like, oh, dude, no, I want.
Oh, and then they got like that music, and then it's all like, Yeah, or the video that's like the guy pretends to be a homeless guy next to him, and then I'm like, what the?
Yeah. No, what I'm going to do is record myself going to Lucha's store and giving him a sandwich. Like, and I'm going to be like, look, I'm giving a homeless guy some food. And you're going to be like, what the hell? What are you doing here?
I'm going to take a video of like, I'll watch as I rescue this kid drowning, and I'll push a kid in the river.
And save a drowning kid challenge.
Drowning
that's
kid,
what I'm saying. Like,
kid.
so I don't want to do something dumb like record yourself doing a good deed, but
you can still do a good deed without recording it.
Yeah. But if we want this to kind of be passed around for it to kind of spread between people and people, that's normally the kind of thing that you have to do. So, I mean, could it be something as easy as high-fiving a stranger or telling someone that they look good today? Like you walk by a stranger, you go, "You look fucking good today," in a non-creepy.
And then Josh gets slapped instantly. Just aims to slap.
Yeah. So in a very nice way.
Lawsuit.
Like, compliment somebody. Just complimenting a stranger or something like that. Where it's like I don't know.
Actually, that happens a lot in Korea though. Men are very fast to say, "Oh wow, you look handsome." It's just a thing they do.
Nice.
So maybe it's not handsome. Maybe it's your eyebrows are nice and bushy today.
Your eyebrows are on fleek today.
Yeah. Whatever it may be, but just some way of complimenting somebody, but turning it into the bonus level challenge that we're challenging our 5 listeners.
Just don't get
turned it off at this point.
Just don't get a lawsuit and then blame us, please.
Josh, you don't look that bad today.
Oh, see, there we go. Jake is the winner. Or winning. He's winning. If you want to catch up to him, you have to compliment somebody.
Josh, out of all of the brown boys named Joshua, you're the best.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I forgot their last name was Brown. I thought you totally make him.
Yes, I'm lawsuit.
Okay,
boom,
all right.
lawsuit.
Okay, the reason
Josh,
I love doing podcasts with you guys is because I think you both have lovely voices.
Thank you.
Do you really think so,
Josh? Some may say.
So, Josh, I love the way you play Apex with us.
He said, twitching.
So good.
He's reading his script.
He almost got that out with a straight face.
It makes me feel
hold on
so
one
good.
second. I need to
record it.
Hold on.
No, he's going to look up his stats and then burn you with how many more wins he has than you. And then go. You said what?
No, I couldn't hear Luke through my headphones, so I had to share with my brother for a second because I didn't want to talk over him or anything. But I want to say, in the minute and a half that we decided to do this challenge, I don't know about you guys, but I've smiled this whole time. Like,
Josh, you never stop smiling. You don't stop smiling.
I just hope that you're guys
always
can
smiling
because of this thing, and that's what I'm hoping, that we're making smiles spread.
Okay, okay. So Josh, tomorrow during D&D night, I'm going to record you with my phone, right, of what you look like through the video chat. All the time, like you sit there with like your mouth open with this smile, and you're just like sitting there like.
That's not a bad thing. That's definitely not a bad thing.
No, I'm just saying, like he's always smiling. Like he's like, I've been smiling for the last minute. I'm like, Josh, you've been smiling for the last like 30 years.
30 years.
That's what we're trying to pass along to everybody else with the bonus level challenge.
When Josh tells me to do stuff, though, I hate it, and I don't want to do it.
Okay. That's why it took you 6 months to join our Discord. Because he was the one that asked.
Exactly.
If it would have been me, you probably would have done it that day. I'm like, hey.
Actually, that's probably true.
I mean, fucking Jake was just enjoying a beer with some Somali pirates, and exchanging some.
Yeah. Come on. Hey, they're nice when you get to know them.
When you take the time to trust them, that they won't throw you overboard and into the piranhas.
What was that movie with Tom Hanks and the pirates?
The captain, when he says, "I'm the captain now."
Yeah, what movie?
Captain Phillips.
Captain Phillips. You just see they're all like going on, taking the boat. He's got everybody at gunpoint. You just see Jake come up just eating like a burrito or something.
It's like, I don't know how I got here.
Like you shouldn't be so rough on them, like let's untie them a little bit, let's spread the love. All right. Like I know you guys, you over there, quinoa, I know you have some problem with
that's a food, by the way.
It's obviously a pirate name. Obviously a pirate name. That's where the food came from.
That's the first thing you thought of.
And I'm just I wish you can't remember that. Anyway, and he just talks all the pirates down, and then that's the end of the movie.
That was it. Yeah, him and his burrito and his beer.
Quinoa. Him and quinoa.
Him and quinoa. Yeah.
Please get a pet and call him quinoa.
So I think the final boss of this week's level is. Can I say
it? Wait. Let me say it. Let me say it, please. I've been waiting for this. Please.
Go ahead.
You never let me say it. Okay, it's Matthew who works for Texas Instruments.
This is why I don't let you say it, because you make up some random sub boss that's not actually really the boss.
That was so
Did
relevant.
we get his information? Can we tweet at him?
Please, can we let him know he was the final boss?
No, he's not the final boss. The final boss is the bonus level challenge that everybody has to complete to move on to level 23 next week.
Matthew.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't give a shit if you post it. If you do post it, cool. If you don't, or just
do something because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to know though if you wanted to share on our Twitter or something. Just say bonus level challenge completed. You don't have to say what you did or anything like that. But it would be cool to see that we have some kind of influence here.
Yeah.
Oh, and don't lie. Jack can smell your bullshit.
That's true. I'm allergic, and I can tell. So I think that we came to the conclusion that in general, I need to be more compassionate and open and trusting of people. Jake needs to be more careful because he's going to end up in the bottom of an Amazon river.
For real.
He's just trusting way too many people. He's way too optimistic. Okay, so we've gathered that much.
I like how you have to be a little bit more. But I have to be way more.
During this podcast, I actually realized how great I am. And I don't need to change anything.
No, you're right, Jake. I need to be way more trusting because I'm just closed off and hate everybody. And then you need to be way more careful. Right. And with that being said, I think that everybody as a whole, listeners, society, if we can put the brakes on throwing ourselves through the ceiling of society, then maybe we should try to do that and just be more open and forgiving and willing to help each other. I think is the ultimate goal.
So one thing I also noticed, do you think Jake maybe isn't so nice, but maybe he's just so clueless? Maybe these people are super dangerous around him, but he doesn't know, and he's just dodging all the spears that are getting thrown at him, and he just is having the best time of his life.
No, I don't think so. I think he's genuinely nice.
Oh. Yeah, I think. Well, no, I'm not saying he's not nice. I'm just saying he's one of those people who's so lucky that makes other things around him unlucky. And so he's in the Philippines about to get busted by some super drug lord or something, and then it's oh sweet. And then he goes inside the van, but then the guy trips and then accidentally knocks the van down and then rolls away, and then it falls in front of an ice cream shop, and then that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have a weird imagination. Just leave me alone. Right?
I think for sure, my optimism has helped me out in situations where probably could have gone bad, but they were no, not worth it, sort of thing.
Yeah,
it's probably a super young Harrison Ford. He just whoops ass. He doesn't tell us. He's just probably whooping ass over in the Philippines and bringing Amazon. He's just with a running, dodging boulders. And yeah. We go and meet Jake for real, and he's just super huge and just fucking just ripped and he's the Rock mixed with Harrison Ford. He's the George Clooney of freaking Jason Statham.
I like it.
The Rock is
anyways, we came all the way full circle. And just as a reminder for those of you that haven't joined our Discord, we have a Discord community. Speaking of community, that we would love for you to join. The link is always in the description of wherever you're listening. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on any of the streaming platforms, in the description is a link to all of the rest of our social media pages, as well as the Discord that you can join and chat and have fun and be a part of the community and ultimately be allowed into my fortified complex when the zombie apocalypse arrives. That's how you get in, unfortunately, because we already discussed that I'm not trusting enough. So as it stands, that's the only way in. But with that being said, I do believe that wraps up level 22 of the Bonus Level podcast. And I want to take a second to thank Jake, who has been a very special and very well-spoken and informed guest.
He's very wise for his age.
And thanks for being here. And enjoy your time in the States before you have to go back to, I don't know, when are you going back?
March 22nd. I'll be back.
Where are you going?
South Korea. That's where I live.
The most pleasant of Koreas.
Enjoy your time here, and again, thanks for being here. Thanks everyone for listening, and from all of us at the Bonus Level Podcast, have a wonderful week.
Go Team Human.
Josh.